Hello, friends. It's the top of the hour. Welcome to this week, June the 24th. I'm not sure where June went, but it has raced right by. And of course, welcome to our latest session of Coaching to Confidence, our weekly conversation about sales and your success. I'm Chris McGatt, the other Chris, and I head up the coaching division right here at Leaders Edge Training. Oh my gosh, we have got a great session in store for you today. And of course, that live Q&A coming up right at the bottom of the hour. Now, speaking of that Q&A, don't delay. Go ahead and drop that question or your comment into the Zoom Q&A right there at the bottom of your screen. We'll be sure to cover it during the second half of today's session. Every week, we stream live to make sure we're bringing you topics that are both timely and relevant. Hey, if you have a suggestion for a future topic, go ahead, include it right there in the Q&A, and we'll tee it up for a future session. As you know, each week we focus on one of four different areas: lead generation to help you build your client base, sales skills to close more deals, inspiration to stay motivated and focused, and your business structure. Because folks, we have all got to figure out better ways so we can work more efficiently and more effectively to reach those goals we've set for ourselves. Now, today's topic: 10 tips to delivering best-in-class customer service. In our business, success happens when you create great memories and experiences for our clients and customers, so that whenever they're talking about real estate with friends, family members, or even coworkers, they recommend us. The best way to get repeat and referral business is to deliver over-the-top customer service. It's about doing those little things right to create a fantastic experience. Now today, Chris is going to walk us through the 10 tips to improve your customer service. And what I love about this is these strategies won't cost you a penny. We are so happy to have you with us today. Please help me welcome nationally recognized real estate expert, Chris Leader. Chris, as usual, it is always so good to see you. How was your weekend?
It was good, Chris. It's good to see you as well. It's been chilly up here, but I think the weather's going to finally change. We're going to get some summer, so that's good. How about you? You doing well? You had a good weekend?
I had a great weekend. Chris, we could send some of the heat of South Florida right up to you in Toronto. I think it would make everybody very happy all the way around, and you can bring down a little bit of that cool air for us.
Yeah, it's been cool. So, and I think at one point this week, we're supposed to get down at night to about 42 degrees. So it's leave the windows open. Now, I know that from your perspective, Chris, in Florida, you'd be like dying to be able to do that. So I get it. Hey, I understand we got a special. I understand we got a special guest next week.
You know, Chris, we actually do, and I'm so thrilled about this. Thanks for reminding me. Many of you may know the name Laura Levy. She is out of the Boulder, Colorado market, and she is an industry leader. She's got a lot of history in the business, but let me tell you, this person is knocking on the door of $100 million in production a year. Absolutely phenomenal, but most importantly, she's just an awesome human being, and we've got her all hour next week. So folks, mark your calendar. You're not going to want to miss this. Laura is not only an amazing marketing wizard, she elevates the marketing experience for all of her clients and customers. She's really a digital marketing, social media marketing expert, lives it every single day, great samples, but she's also a community advocate. If anyone has heard of Coach Prime and the CU Buffs, she has really made a big impact with that group when it comes to real estate. She'll be offering some tips, Chris, on not only how to engage in your community, not only how to elevate your social media, your digital marketing, but also just great skills in how to deal with buyers and the upcoming changes that we're going to be seeing coming up middle of the summer. So again, mark your calendar, July the 1st. We've got Laura Levy joining us for the entire hour. Should be a ton of fun. So thanks, Chris, for the reminder. I so appreciate that.
That's superstar Laura Levy. And I think the takeaway here for folks is we got her out of the Leaders Program years ago. She took our 6-week course.
Yeah.
And she enrolled right into coaching one-on-one.
That's
and
right.
That coaching experience over 24 months drove those fundamental skills that I brought to her to that level that you see today. Now, Chris, this isn't, I didn't ask you about this, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, but is it true that your daughter is ranked in like the top agents in South Florida? Can we get a little background on that just for a second, Chris? And I know it's not a
Oh,
dad should be, but just, I mean, I was so, and again, you got to give them how long what we did from the coaching perspective because
yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a thank you for the call out. She's just came out of college. She worked in a different industry for about a year, and then went into real estate. And quite frankly, in less than 3 years now, with the help of a really great coach. Thank you, Chris, for your team, Leaders Edge Coaching. But she and her husband Curtis, they are so focused. And yeah, last month they were recognized as the #1 units performer in all of Southeast Florida, massive market, and they are consistently in the top 10 or 15 agents in the market in their 20s, leveraging the skills, leveraging the ideas, Chris, that they get from their coach, Jason Keenery, an awesome individual. So again, just it really goes to show you, Chris, when people are achieving amazing success, they oftentimes do it, whether it's on the golf course, the tennis court, the basketball court, or the real estate field. They do it by leveraging really great resources to ensure that they get every advantage they possibly can. So yeah, I'm going to be a
So
grandparent
for the takeaway,
soon.
for the takeaway for everybody on this, guys, and I'm very proud of Chris's daughter because we've been blessed to coach her and her husband Curtis right from the beginning of their real estate career. And in 3 years,
that's
I mean,
right.
they're only 3 years in the business. They're the #1 agents in Southeast Florida. Come on, how do you do that with that kind of competition? I mean, Miami, Lauderdale, spectacular. So for all you out there who haven't committed to one-on-one coaching, you need to reach out because we have a history of building superstars. But enough about bragging about that. I should probably get on with the agenda today. But congratulations to your daughter. The news and as it relates to real estate. Well, guys, I got about 4 or 5 things I want to bring up. I hope you're doing a customer appreciation party tonight. Lord Stanley's Cup is up for grabs. And now for all of you south of the border, that might not be a big deal for you, but it is the most coveted trophy in all of Canada. So it is the Oilers against the Panthers, Chris. It's Canada against your state, Florida, where you are. The Oilers have come back from a 3-0. They were down 3-0. The final game is tonight. If they win tonight, they will have come back from 3-0 to win 4-3 in games. The last time this was done was 82 years ago. And just for the record, it's been 31 years since our Stanley Cup has been back in Canada. So we're doing our best to wrestle it away from you guys south of the border, Chris. Big deal here. I can tell you every Canadian will be watching hockey tonight. On a second note, and I know that my news depth is a little light this week, but we have the big election debate coming up Thursday night. Don't miss that. And I want to forewarn everybody, as we move closer to the election, and it becomes more and more, it takes more and more of the headlines and more of the oxygen, people are going to postpone making a decision to buy or sell a piece of real estate until they find out who's going to be in charge next. So what I'm going to say to you is this: if you have people that are talking about selling, get them signed up now. The closer you get to, the end of the summer and Labor Day, you're going to find people put that on hold. Friday is National Pride Day, and I'm sure there will be lots of events, and I'm sure that you guys are partaking in lots of those events. Holiday weekend for everybody coming up, and it's a big holiday. Lots of barbecues, lots of pool party, boating, beach, all of that stuff, depending on where you live. But I want to remind people, this is a great time to sell a house because people will be off work and they will be available. Great time to do an open house. Great time to do listings. And really what I'm saying to you, it comes down to your work-life balance. What are you prepared to give up and what are you prepared to get? People call me all the time and they want to know about how do I become successful in real estate? Well, I'll tell you how you get successful in real estate. Hard work. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I teach a hustle mentality. So yep, I hope you guys will be busy. On one more note that I want to bring up is that over 1,000 car dealers got hacked last week. They've been pretty much shut down, the auto industry, since Thursday. What's that got to do with us in real estate? Well, when you hear these things, I think it's really important that you get thinking about your cybersecurity. It's maybe time to consider your software, malware updates, antivirus. Make sure your VPN is on all access points. Use password manager like Dashlane, so you get really great passwords, 2-step authentication, and you want to have Kryptonite to back up everything. It's like life is complicated enough. You don't need somebody hacking your computer. So that's really what I had for news this week, Chris. As we move towards the long weekend, I'm sure people will be distracted. So, but we got a great session, and let's hope you guys are going to be working over the weekend. So today's topic is about little things and how little things matter. Customer service. And if you want a bigger piece, in some cases, what's becoming a smaller pie, you're going to have to really get good at delivering an amazing experience. Buying a home should be fun. Picking out a new home to raise your family and create your dreams and memories in should be fun. It shouldn't be scary. And we as an industry should take the complexity out of that and make it really enjoyable. And it's how we manage the little things through the exercise. Customer service is dying today. I believe customer service is dying in a lot of industries. So let me give you some examples. I travel a lot with my speaking business. Sometimes in a week, I can be in 5 different hotels in 5 different cities. I stay in Marriott's a lot. I like the consistency generally of a Marriott. But as well as because I stay in them a lot, I'm a lifetime platinum elite member. What does that mean for people who don't travel a lot? I get a lot of perks and I get well taken care of because of the amount of volume I book. Now, I can tell you that not every Marriott delivers the same service. Some hotels barely recognize my status. And at the same time, another hotel later in the week, same chain, they'll make me think I'm the king the way they treat me when I come in. Other hotels thank me for my status, my upgrade. They upgrade my room, for instance. And, depending on who the GM on that hotel is, there'll be free parking, free bottles of water in my room. Sometimes there's a gift in my room. Sometimes, it's a really nice dessert tray or a cheese tray. Sometimes it's a jar of nice peanuts and 2 cold beers on ice. And I love it when I get in and my flat screen TV says, "Welcome, Chris," in my guest room. These are the little things that hotels do. And we don't even think about it. And I mean, it's not the fact that they put some beer or peanuts in my room or not. It's the fact that they made me feel special. And then there are other times when I've checked into a hotel and they've not even said a peep to me or understand that there's any difference. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at what I'm saying, and I want you to make every client feel special. I want you to create memories in your business. In our business, it's about creating these great memories for our clients. So whenever they're talking about real estate, they recommend us. They talk about us really positively. And the best way to get that repeat business and the referral business is to deliver an over-the-top experience. Now, over-the-top doesn't have to be expensive. It's about the paying attention to the details. Sometimes we think it'll cost a lot to deliver that amazing experience, but the cost is not really about money. It's about what you do with all of the stuff. Like, are you doing really substantial videography, really great stuff? Are you doing online marketing, beautiful postcards? Have you catered the open house and done a really good job with that? But it doesn't need to always cost. It can be about doing the little things and making people feel special and making the experience amazing. It doesn't have to be wildly expensive. It's about paying attention to those details. It's letting people know how much you appreciate the opportunity to work for them. So let me give you 10 tips today. Things you can do to increase the customer service experience that shouldn't cost you anything or very little, and at the same time creates those memorable experiences that people feel responsible to share with people when the conversation of real estate comes up. And I want you to also think that the average person probably buys on average about 4, maybe 5 houses, but I'm going to go with 4. There's usually their starter home, then there's their move up, then there's the bigger house as the family or the relationship gets financially better and they get more mature. And then there's the step down when they go to retire. So there's at least 4, and that's typically across, say, about 30 years. But what I was also going to say to you is every year, everybody knows 3 people that bought and sold a piece of real estate. So if we take a look at that one client has access realistically to about 36 transactions over the life of their real estate life with you. And it's how we nurture those relationships and constantly remind them that you're in the business, you did a great job, and they would be in their best interest to recommend you. So you want to ask clients how they like you to communicate with them to start off with. Some people prefer texting. Others prefer email. Some people will prefer social media as a way of communicating, and other people will want to talk to you. So how you like to communicate doesn't matter. What's most important is how is the client going to receive the communication, what makes them feel comfortable, and what are they going to respond to quickly. So what media or what will you use to make that happen? Whenever you start working with a client, communication is so important. It's such an important part of the relationship. One of the first questions you want to ask somebody is, how do you want me to communicate with you? And then honor that. My only caveat is that you need to get face-to-face with people, with new prospects as soon as possible. Relationships are built face-to-face, not over digital media. So even though your clients like to text back and forth, if you want that relationship to go to the next level, you got to move it from digital to voice and from voice to face-to-face. And then they feel comfortable with you. They'll pick up the phone and talk to you, but we need to build a relationship with them. And a real relationship doesn't exist until you actually get to spend time with them. Have you got a solid communication plan? You can't let any daylight between you and your clients. They should expect to hear from you on a weekly basis, at a minimum. I was doing a presentation up here last week, and one of the challenges that the agents are having in my local market is houses are now on the market for 4 months. And many of the agents that started during the pandemic do not have the communication skills to maintain that relationship and navigate that, because they often are under the impression houses sell faster. When the market's fast, houses sell quickly and you can move on to the next client. But when the market slows down, where I am right now, you need to manage that relationship over a longer period of time, and it means more communication. I was explaining to the agents that often when people aren't coming to look at a house and the market is slow, we start to back away from that client because we feel very uncomfortable. We feel like we're not performing. But at the end of the day, you can't create the market. You have to navigate the market. So what I want you to do is, even if people are not coming to look at your listing right now, I want you to pick up the phone and continue to talk to your sellers. It is that ongoing communication that softens the feeling that nobody's coming to look. And don't be surprised if you keep that communication open, that they half the time will ask you, maybe we should reduce the price. Now, so what am I saying here from a communication perspective? So phone all your clients after every showing on the seller's side to give them feedback. So reach out to the buyer's agent who showed the property, find out what the buyers potentially thought or the prospects thought, and then follow up. And it's like you're calling them all the time. That's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to call them all the time. I want you to stay in touch with them. Phone after every open house to tell them how many people came through, what the public's comments were, the number of visitors. And then finally, every Monday night, I was taught to do this. Between 6 and 8 o'clock, I call every client to have a discussion, not a text, not an email, a discussion about what we did this week, maybe what new listings came on in the neighborhood that they'll be competing with, maybe what sales have taken place, what properties have gone under contract in relationship to theirs from a competitive perspective. I want them to feel that they're totally up to date on everything that's going on. And in these conversations, again, we'll talk about strategy and what we're doing. Now, on the buyer's side, you got to keep those buyer relationships. And you want to know that buying a home is a big decision, and people often get excited about it, and then they back away a little bit. This is normal. It's kind of this push and pull sort of thing that goes on. And you need to be patient. And as in many markets, as our inventory levels grow, you can't use the fear of FOMO or the fear of missing out or the urgency close anymore, because there's more inventory. Again, last week doing the presentation here, I said to them, you're going to have to get used to where there was maybe 1 or 2 houses before. There's literally 10, 20, 30, 40 houses that will fall into that bucket. So you're going to have to get better at your communication, narrowing the selection process down and picking the right houses and getting to understand them. Remember, we're in a skills-based market now, not a speed-based market. So, and with your buyers, I want you to follow up with them. And if they haven't responded to anything that you're sending them, get on the phone and find out what's going on. Update them on any mortgage changes, for instance, in the marketplace. And use the buyer profile, who they are and what they're looking for, to go out into a marketplace that would have homes that would typically meet the basic criteria that they're looking for, and use it as a way to prospect for new listings. Let the people in the neighborhood know you've got buyers right now They've looked at a few of the houses. The floor plan's not right. And we know if we could get something else in this neighborhood, they would give it serious consideration. This is a great way. Now, your buyers may or may not buy the listing. And if they don't buy the listing, no problem. Guess what you got? You got a new listing. So let's get out there and get talking to people and on behalf of our buyers. And then we're going to report back to the buyers what you've been doing every week, so that they understand that they should feel really good about working with you, because you're out there every day looking for new opportunities. Sellers don't know everything that you're working on. So I would put together a sequence of events leading up to a successful sale. So what I'm talking about here is like a calendar. And what I want you to do is leave it when you list the house for sale. And I want you to outline everything in the calendar so that I make a print copy of this and I would give it to them. Because this is what's going to happen over the next 30 days or 40 days or whatever the time is. We're here tonight, and then with the for sale sign gets installed on Tuesday. Office comes through caravan next week. This week, we're going to get the house show ready. We're going to have the stager in first. Right behind the stager comes the photographer and the videographer. First agent open, public open house, postcards go out, that sort of thing. So social media goes up, gets loaded on all the different websites and syndicated across lots of different sites. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of the activities we do, the seller doesn't know we do. So they see a sign, they see a signed contract, they don't understand all of these other things. What we're doing is we're building value right now by laying everything out and saying, these are all the things. And we want to put it in print so that they can look at the schedule and go, wow, you got a lot of stuff going on here. Yes, and I'm going to put in there every Monday night my phone call with them so that they can see that it's coming. So really what I'm trying to do is lay out all the stuff that you do, but sometimes we don't tell people we do, so that they can see great value in you. When you have the schedule prepared for events, this will give the seller confidence that you're going to get the job done. And it forces you to stay organized, because when you make a promise and a commitment, we all feel a sense of responsibility to live up to those obligations. So when you say the sign's going in and the stager's coming and the photographer's coming and the videographer's coming and the postcards are going out, all of that stuff says you're doing something and you've made a promise. These are all good activities and strategies. And the fact that you're going to be talking to them all the time gives them confidence that they've chosen the right person, and less resistance around whatever commission rate you decide you want to charge. Number 4, I was taught to do this, and I did it old school, but it was to create a checklist for everything. Any transaction can have over 100 little details. And anytime we miss something, it slips between the cracks. We often find ourselves not doing all the things we promised, or potentially disappointing a buyer or seller by not managing the file carefully. The best way not to miss anything is to create checklists. Now, in the old days, when we used paper files, and of course you guys don't anymore, you do digital, but I literally, if you opened up one of my listings, you would find that there was a checklist of activities that was stapled to the inside of my file folder, and it was literally a checkoff box to make sure I was not missing anything. So this would allow me to stay on track. Today, you would do it digitally, of course, but you should have checklists for your new sellers. Everything that you're going to get done, and has to get done, and the date it was done, and the signed off or initialed. The same thing with your new buyers. All of the steps in the process that you need to sign off, let them know that you're doing this stuff. There should be a closing file, open house checklist, marketing activities. You see, when you create these checklists and you don't have to think about them, this creates freedom in your mind to be more creative about other things. But if you have to constantly remember what's got to get done, then you don't get it done. Like a really good example is, and I know you're going to think, wow, this guy's nuts, but I create checklists for my shopping list on my phone. So for me, I'm going to put in every time I notice I'm low on something, I put it in my checklist. Because the reality of it is, if I get to the grocery store or to the hardware store, I'm never going to remember this stuff. So the fact that I keep adding to that checklist makes me more efficient. That's just a little household thing. I do that with my groceries. We should sure as heck be doing it with a new seller listing, to make sure that everything gets done. Now, text after calling. So yeah, your clients may prefer to deal with text. So what do I do here? How often do you phone a prospect and leave a voicemail? And then you don't hear back from them. So you leave them a voicemail, but then what most agents don't do is they don't call again. They just figure the person wasn't interested. to increase your callback, because you got to know that some people don't even check their voicemail for a couple of days now, which is nuts. But anyways, what I need you to do is I need you, when you send the voice message, I need you to also text and say, hey, I left you a voice message. I was calling about such and such. So this is going to ensure that at least 2 ways you've attempted to reach them. And this will help solidify your relationship and galvanize it, keep it tight, because you're staying in touch with them. Now, leave a nice voicemail, but then immediately text them with a nice note, like I said, and attach your contact card. That way they'll have all your contact details, your picture, your company, your email, your office address, your phone number, and in one place, and they can easily save it to their phone contacts. It'll say, do you want to save this? And now that you are saved in their phone. So stay connected more than ever when the market slows down. One of the things I mentioned to you, and I know this feeling because I've been in real estate, guys, way too long. I don't even like to say how long. And I know what it's like when you have a listing or you're in a market that has slowed down. One of the things we have a habit of doing is avoiding those difficult conversations. But one of the situations that makes this thing worse is when you avoid those conversations. Not only do we have the little problem, what we need to deal with, but that little problem becomes a much bigger problem when we don't talk to people about the problem. If you call every week, ask if they ask them if they want to sell, they're going to avoid you. So what you need to do is be thoughtful about your touch points to stay top of mind with people, to stay connected. And like I said, if you are working on seller listings, let's maintain those relationships. Now, staying connected, send out your monthly market reports. I love these market report ideas. I think it's fabulous because everybody wants to know what's going on in the market. Update on recent sales and listings in the neighborhood. And even if there aren't any selling right now, they want to know that as well. And they want to know what's going on in market data. Is the market going up and down? Scan your social media every morning, make comments. And I've done this with your morning high five. I tell you guys, this is a Sean Carpenter idea that I got from he's an agent out of Columbus, Ohio. He's a great guy. But comment on other people's posts, and it'll make them feel like you are connected to them, even if they haven't seen you for a while. So, they will immediately think of you when they see that you've made a comment. So I would recommend every morning you leave some comments on some of the social media sites with some of your past clients. Now, number 7 on my list is make your email signature interactive. I still get emails from people today and their signature is not active. Make it easy for people to reach out and get in touch with you. And when you do that, when it's not active, it makes it hard for people to maintain that contact. So I would suggest that your signature should include your name, your office, your address, and live links to email you, to your phone number, to your website, to your social media. I still run into people who send me an email and tell you what, I got to get my notepad out, write their phone number down so that I can call them because the link's not live. Guys, you should be able to just hit that with your cell phone and be talking to somebody. These are little things, but the convenience of that goes a long way. These are the little barriers we create in our industry that make it more difficult for ourselves. The next thing I'm going to suggest to you is you check your voicemail often. When it comes to the speed of communications, we tend to respond quicker to text messages, like immediately, and we return emails hours later, but we don't check the voicemail all the time. Not returning calls promptly will frustrate your clients. And having a full mailbox, that's the kiss of death in our business. How many times have I called somebody to go to leave them a message and this mailbox is full? And I lose my mind. I think, what if I was a buyer who wanted to buy a house, or what if I was a seller who wanted to list a house and I'm calling you and your mailbox is full? In our business, and I'm going to be real clear with you, in our business, if your mailbox is full, I'm making the next call to the next available person. And you missed an opportunity you may not even known existed. So make sure that you're checking those voicemails. Commit to returning emails and voicemails that come in the morning before lunchtime. Before you bolt for lunch, you got to get on your email and on your voicemail. So the call comes in at 9 o'clock. You might not have time immediately to deal with it, but before you go for lunch, and then it's 5 or 6 o'clock, you're checking out. What do I need you to do before you go home? One of the last activities of the day is return your emails and voicemails, text messages. And I say that because we've all had the experience where we've reached out to a real estate agent and the agent hasn't gotten back to us for 2 or 3 days. It's just bad business, guys. It really is. letting someone know you received their message and you're working on it is is what I would recommend that you do with that, so that they don't feel that that they're being ignored. Number 9 on my list, I think it's 9. Is that? Yeah, 9. Sorry, number 9. No one likes conflict. So transactions always have challenges. So we don't run from problems in our business; we run into them. And when I have an agent who comes up to me and says, I got a deal that's falling apart, I got a seller who's not cooperating, and they go on and on and on, I look at them and I say, oh, really? First world problems. You got clients. You see, if you have no clients, you have no business. And when you have, if you have no problems, you have no clients. You have no business. So when you have problems, that means you've got business. That means you're working on a file and there's problems with it. This buying a home can be frustrating, no doubt about it. And they'll become irate if you don't deal with their issues. So you got to deal with the problems. You don't hide from them. And big problems are generally little problems we ignore. Get on it right away and get it fixed. And if you do, the experience will be exceptional. It's when we ignore them, we avoid them, and we don't want to deal with them. So make it part of your everyday business to get up every day and deal with those tough issues. What do they say? Eat the frog? Is that what they say? Isn't there a book out there called Eat the Frog, which is really telling you, find the thing you don't want to do and get it done, because then the rest of the day is a walk in the park. So let's deal with those issues. Deal with them up front. And remember, it's not your responsibility often when something is out of your control, but it is your responsibility to communicate when the world is shifting and your clients need to know about it. Perhaps they moved in and their furnace is blown up. Okay. 2 weeks later, most agents don't call after somebody moves into a house. You know why? They're afraid there's going to be a problem and they're going to get blamed for it. That means you're running away from an opportunity. I bought a house years ago in Florida. And one of the challenges are just after we moved in, the AC blew up. Well, of course you got to have an AC in Florida. It's like you got to have a furnace in Canada. So I called my real estate agent. Was I mad at her? No, it's not her fault my AC blew up. I called her and I said, hey, I've got an AC problem. And she said, I know the perfect HVAC contractor. You're going to like these guys. They're old and slow, but they do a great job and you can count on them and trust them. Now, the big takeaway here is my agent who was local knew exactly who I should deal with. So I reached out and these 2 old guys showed up and they were just adorable. They spent the whole day putting a new HVAC in and they were cute as hell because at 10:15, they stopped for coffee with their thermos, sat down, put it out on the step, took 15 minutes. At 12 o'clock, they took their little brown bag out and had their sandwich. But at the end of the day, they did a great job. The big takeaway here is this. First of all, I had a contractor I could count on because they came as a referral based on a local supplier and my agent. My agent felt good because she was able to help me with a difficult situation. And she was able to help a local contractor who then would feel a sense of responsibility to maybe refer her some work. See the opportunity, guys. Don't run from it. You are here to fix people's problems. This is a great chance for you to step up and bring that extra level of service by being the local person that they're going to reach out to over and over again. Number 10 on my list was about really going out and finding new business. And in a market that's really hot, like the one we had in the pandemic, everybody was selling and everybody was moving, and they were moving because of the pandemic. People in the big cities were moving to smaller cities or towns. People in the small towns were moving rural. Rural was moving somewhere else because they got a better deal in some other town, in some other state or province. But all of that's behind us now. And what are we in the middle of? We're in the middle of a regular real estate market when people make decisions based on what happens in life. So what I need you to do is I need you to be constantly aware in your sphere of influence who just graduated, because people who graduate need a first house. Who got engaged? All right. When a couple gets together and they get engaged, they want to get together, and often they'll sell, if they own their houses separately, they'll sell their 2 houses to move into one to start a new life together. Okay. So those are the diamonds. And then what happens is they move into that new house and maybe they have a baby. Or maybe they have 2, and now they don't have enough space. So, of course, babies come, the diapers come, and then, unfortunately, we have to deal with divorce. That happens in our business. And then at the end of life, some of our clients will leave, and, we have to deal with that. But here's what I'm looking for is the 5 Ds. Diapers, diplomas, diamonds, divorce, and death. You need to have your radar up watch all your social media, watch everything that's going on in your sphere, and take these opportunities to reach out and nurture your relationships. Hey, I see you're having a baby. Do you want to buy a house? No. What I want you to do is send over a nice baby gift and say, hey, congratulations on having that baby. And that's just the subtle reminder you're a great person doing the right stuff, maintaining those relationships. So look for all the opportunities, those happy moments and sad moments in a person's life where you're going to step in as a real estate professional elegantly, just to remind them, hey, I'm here. I love you guys. I got your back. If you need anything, I'm your real estate professional. So all of that being said, when you care about others, it cements relationships. You know, I see so many agents today that are transactional agents. Hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, struggling with commissions, struggling with service levels, struggling with all of that. I've always been a relationship guy. For me, I build relationships, and those relationships carry me through tough times as well as good times. So I would say to you that if you build relationships, you build a future business. If you do transactional business, you're going to get up every day being unemployed, hunting the next deal. When you get to the end of your real estate career and you've built a career on relationships, the amount of a business it looks easy at that point. But the hard work was done building those relationships decades ago in some cases. And now you're benefiting from your hard work 20 years ago because your listing business is almost automatic. Send wedding and baby and shower gifts. Congratulate them when the kids graduate. Make sure you're at the funerals, doing it elegantly and politely. Be thoughtful, be everywhere, be out in front of everybody. And you know what? You're going to be so busy, you're going to lose your mind. Delivering exceptional service is about delivering the unexpected. Now, that's a Richard Robbins quote, great Canadian real estate trainer. He would say, deliver the unexpected. In an industry where a lot of agents are competing and they're charging less and doing less, I truly believe if you deliver an amazing experience that exceeds your client's expectations, they are going to stand on their soapbox with their bullhorn and they're going to tell the entire world, you are it. You are the bomb. So don't expect repeat and referral business unless you're willing to go the extra mile. And like I tell you about the road to the extra mile, there's never a traffic jam there. So that being said, Chris, the assignment for the week is the 10 tips. Put them into your daily business, create a great service experience. It doesn't need to cost a lot to care about your clients. If you like today, please give us a 5-star review. We're working on making this thing bigger and bigger every week and delivering an amazing experience. And when you're ready, and you heard the pitch at the front, guys, you got to get to us for one-on-one. That guy, Jason Keener, he works for us out of Colorado. I've got 2 or 3 stories where he's turned new agents into $1 million revenue agents, meaning they made over $1 million or close to $1 million. So, you know, if you don't do this, it's on you. You already know it exists. You know that Chris and Chris deliver a quality experience. If you don't go the extra difference, you're making a mistake. That brings us up to questions, Chris. Are we ready? I know I went really long today.
No, you didn't go long at all. Are you kidding me? That was chocked full of great information. I love it. As you said, there's never a traffic jam on the road to success. I love that quote. I use that all the time. Thank you, Chris, for reminding me of that. It's fantastic. Now, listen, we have got a lot of comments that came in. First of all, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Chris, we had a quick question here from Sue. She said, what was step number 7? I forgot to write it down. Would you mind, while we're talking, kind of scrolling back, looking at number 7, and I'll give you a second to throw that one back up. But in the meantime, as Kate Rossi always says, because I loved your quote about eat the frog, right? Kate always said, slay your dragons early, right? This idea of being able to get those things done in your life that you just don't really want to do, but you know you got to do them.
Chris, I can't get my slides to go back. Oh, there it is. There it is. Thank you, Jarrett. Our production company in Denver is looking after us. So there's number 7. All right. So, you got to love Kate, man. It's all about doing the production numbers. I love that lady. She's been a tremendous force in my life.
That is so true. Hey, Chris, you bring up question number 7, which obviously had to do with the interactive signature. I've got a question here. Actually, let me just see where that popped up. Yeah, Jonathan. Jonathan asked, how do you make your signature interactive? How do you make that signature engaging? Any tips around that, Chris?
I'm your sales guy. I'm going to my technology person to look after that. So my advice is get your technology person and make it happen, Jonathan. I'm the guy that you call in to close the deal. I'm not the technology wizard. But I'm telling you all the things you need to do. And Jonathan, you need to go get someone to do it. That doesn't need, you don't need to be the
Yeah,
person that
exactly.
does
And
that.
you know what's also a great resource, also, Chris? We had Ron O'Neill on 2 sessions ago, true master of artificial intelligence. And you know what Ron would say? Ron would say, go to ChatGPT version 4.0 and ask your assistant that question, and you'll probably get some good ideas. So
There you go.
never leave a
Bravo.
rock,
Bravo.
never leave a
That's
rock
cool.
unturned, right? Um,
Very good.
listen, there's a saying, Chris, that I've heard a number of times, and I really like it, and that is your ability to earn an above average income is directly related to your ability to communicate. And what I love about number 9, your 5 Ds, is it gives you a reason, right? And an opportunity to create that communication. When you don't know what the purpose is for the call, the 5 Ds really creates clarity around that. And I love the way you mentioned that it isn't just making the call, right? It's using social media. Oftentimes you can identify the 5 Ds by looking at social media and seeing
Yes.
those milestones that happen, and then use that as the genesis to be able to do a quick little like and a comment back, and then a follow-up phone call, follow-up text around any one of those. So bravo on that.
Let
Oh
me be
gosh, I better
honest,
get on
Chris,
the ball here.
the problem with me in the 5 Ds is every time I get on a social media site, I end up going down a rabbit hole watching stupid videos. So just be careful, guys. If you're out hunting for the 5 Ds, that you don't, you got on there at 8 o'clock. Next thing you know, you're 10 o'clock and you're still watching silly little videos, right? So that's the one thing. But
Boy,
yeah,
I thought I was the only one that suffered from that. I got to tell you, there's got to be a way to stop that in my life. Hey, Rick, you asked a really good question, and this is a sensitive question, Chris, but I'm going to send it your way and maybe just get some insight, kind of your perspective on this. Rick in Arizona says, give an example of when a neighbor dies, how to thoughtfully and considerately approach that situation.
oh, that's really a tough question, Rick, and has haunted us in our real estate career forever. You don't want to be the person standing at the reception line at the funeral handing out business cards. So I get that. I think that, Rick, my first thought would be to find out what family is still at the house. And like if it's if one of the partners have died and the other one's still alive, I would send over a nice bouquet of flowers. And as it's in my culture where we're from, we normally bring over some sort of casserole. As you're going through those emotional moments, it's really hard to find the fortitude sometimes to cook. And when the neighbors and friends show up, they bring food always, and that's pretty normal. I would say, Rick, you want to show up at the funeral itself, not necessarily with your name badge on. Of course, this would be a place not to wear your name badge. I just want to make things, straightforward so that people don't get confused. Do all the elegant things. Let them know how much you're sad that we've lost them, and commit to dropping by after a few days have settled in, just to check on the remaining partner, how they're doing. You don't have to ask them at this moment, do they want to sell their house? You just need to be in the universe, in their space, and do it in a delicate and easy way. The harder part and the more difficult question is when Rick doesn't have a relationship with the client, but he's aware
Yeah.
that 6 doors down and around the corner somebody has just lost a partner or a spouse. It's not the same. You don't have a relationship, but you have an awareness. That's where it gets kind of unusual. In a case like that, Rick, I might go as far as sending flowers saying, I'm sorry, I heard about your loss, and do it that way. I mean, that's about as far, because it's really hard. You can't knock on someone's door and say, hey, I heard you lost your partner. Do you want to put your home up for sale? It just doesn't work. It just, it's not tasteful. So just do a tasteful, consider it a tasteful, send a little bouquet of flowers over, let them know that you're in the neighborhood and I'm sorry to hear about your loss. And, yeah. So that's the harder part. It's when somebody says, I don't know them, but I know that they've lost somebody and I want to get out. I want to get out there and find out if I can be of assistance and help. And when it comes up, Rick, what I would say is, I'm not, I just want you to know, should you have any questions about real estate, no obligation. I'll be available if you need any help or anything like that. So, but be tasteful around that. and elegant, maybe some flowers. That would be my go-to on one. Yeah.
It's a great call out, Chris, and it is a sensitive situation. And I think, this is a lesson in being in relationship before something happens, right? The 5Ds work the best when you're in relationship before one of those 5Ds happens. If you show up because of the 5D in their life, then it seems incredibly disingenuous, right? So it's get in relationship first, look for the 5Ds around that. And then also understand that when someone suffers a loss, like Chris just mentioned, sometimes it's not about helping them sell their house. It's really about how to help them where they have a need. Maybe it's changing a deed. Maybe it's determining a valuation for tax purposes. It may have nothing to do with selling the house, but it may have everything to do with you being the expert, you being that perceived expert. And not that you have to be an expert on estate planning or how that works, but you're their contact. Like Chris mentioned earlier in today's program, be the expert. Have that stable of people behind you that you can refer people to, so people know you're the go-to person. That's a beauty behind
Chris,
it. So, yeah.
One more thing I want to add to that, and I think you hit on nail on the head right there. One of the things I would teach people in my 6-week training program is to come up with a list of all the local service suppliers that you can trust and do a great job. Okay. And I have that laminated. Now, when I sell somebody a house, when you sell somebody a house, I'd recommend that you supply them with that as a touch point after they've moved in. But in a case like this, with a nice letter, and I maybe have it sent to the house, but it would say, "Yeah, I'm very sorry about your loss. As with so many changes, losing a partner today, I thought you may be interested in having a look at some of the local service providers that I think could assist you and help you through that." So it's people to do landscaping and cut grass and, clean the pool and whatever it is. They would really appreciate a list of qualified local providers. And it's done elegantly as a way of assisting them. And this allows you to put your logo on it to remind them you're in real estate, because it's that extra ad.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, I've had a couple of people write in and say, "Oh my gosh, I missed number 3. Oh, I missed number 7. Oh, I missed number 13. There wasn't a number 13, by the way. That's the beauty really of the recording, folks. Remember, we keep this recording live for you the entire week. You can tap in until next Monday when we kick this thing off. Take full advantage of that. Question from Richard. Richard says, prospecting question and leaving a voicemail. Do you recommend a scripted message so that we're not blocked, a recommended script, and then a follow-up text, please? So, Richard, I'm not exactly sure on what topic you're asking for a script on. Chris, can you read between the lines on that? Do you recommend a scripted voicemail so we're not blocked, a recommended script, and then a follow-up text, please?
Yeah, so just very easy. And I think that we're overthinking this. The conversation, I'm assuming that you are prospecting in your farm, let's say, for example. So you want to introduce yourself as a neighbor who works in the real estate profession. I'm sorry I missed you tonight. I've got an important real estate matter I wanted to discuss with you. So at your convenience, could you give me a call back at 555-1212? Again, it's Chris from ABC Real Estate. And I would take that very similar message and I would text it to them. I left you a voicemail. I'm sorry I missed you. I have an important real estate matter I'd like to discuss with you. Could you get back in touch with me? Again, I'm a local neighbor. I live in the neighborhood. I'm a professional realtor. Here's my contact details. Don't tell them why you're calling, Richard. Tell them that you have an important real estate matter. The curiosity of that will increase the conversion or the callback for you. So I have an important real estate matter. And when they call back and they say, "Okay, I'm calling you back. What's so important?" "Oh, thank you so much for calling me. I appreciate your time. Hey, I'll tell you why I'm calling. I got this young couple, the Stevensons. We've showed them the house on Park Street in Smith, the ones in your neighborhood. Floor plan wasn't right. And I made them a personal commitment that I would go and find somebody in the neighborhood who was thinking about selling. This would be a great opportunity." Now, the reason that what I just did there, Richard, and I think it was Richard who asked me this, is that I used what's called the specific person approach. Meaning if you call up and say, "I'm looking for listings," people see it as self-serving. If you call up and say, "I'm trying to help folks get relocated in your neighborhood," now it feels like you're working on behalf of a real person. And you are. I'm assuming you're using a real profile. So make it about buyers, make it about helping buyers, and you're going to have a better conversation with people, and you're more likely to get follow up when the message you leave, Richard, is, "I have an important real estate matter to discuss with you." And then you'll get better conversions on that.
Great way to handle that. Chris Bill from Cleveland says, I'm a millennial. My clients are millennials. Our preferred form of communication is texting. However, I don't find it easy to build relationships with new clients using text only. Any suggestions on a balance or a protocol?
Yeah, so I think the kicker there is the thing that you just said is new relationships. And it's hard to develop a relationship with somebody that really doesn't know you digitally. So my suggestion is to obviously text back, but what we want to do is convert that text to a voice call. And what we want to do with the voice call is convert it to a face-to-face. The whole goal here with this exchange back and forth is to get face-to-face with people. And that's when the relationship really starts to take place. It really starts then. So if I'm texting you, I'm going to say something along the lines, listen, this is a big conversation. There's lots for you to know about the process, and I'd like to take a few minutes and share it with you. If it's okay with you, I'm going to call you. Would you please answer? So then the person answers, and we go back and forth a little bit using our open-ended questions, exchanging some information. And then the whole thing is to say, well, the decision you're about to make is a big one. You have a lot at stake when it comes to buying a house. In fact, buying a home ranks right up there with some of the most major decisions you're going to make in your lifetime. I really think it would be in your best interest to make sure you don't pay too much and end up living in the wrong house. That the next step now is for you and I to sit down and have a cup of coffee. I can build a profile and have a deeper appreciation for what you're looking for. At the same time, you probably have questions you wanted answers for. But most importantly, if you're going to be working with somebody, I think it's important to know who you're going to be trusting as, you know, the person who'll be representing you. Now, listen, before we get off the telephone, and I'm glad we're talking, what I'd like to do is say I have some time on Thursday night at 6, or would you prefer to see me Saturday afternoon, say 1 o'clock? Now that's called alternate choice close. Never ask somebody when would you like to get together, because they'll say, well, leave it with me, I'll call you back. Good luck ever getting them back on the phone again. What I need you to do is try to pin it down. Now they are going to say to you, well, you know what, let me check with my spouse or partner and I'll get back to you. Don't do that. Okay. Sales Pro says no problem. Sounds like you're busy. I am too. I tell you what, let's take a pencil out, not a pen, and let's pencil in a tentative appointment. And should you need to change it, I'm going to give you my number and you can change the appointment. So that gets us one more step into the calendar. Again, these are the little nuances that if you spend time with me, I'm going to teach you all of the things that you're going to need to know to take the opportunities that you've been missing. You got close and you missed it because you didn't have the right words, the right communication strategy, the talk track. You didn't know. Remember, it's not a speed market anymore. It's a skills market. I need you to work on being a master sales professional. All right.
Friends, those are Chris's words that work. That's why we have the recording, and don't miss the opportunity to let those sink in, because Chris, as you just alluded, like oftentimes it's what you say. We said at the very beginning, right? Your ability to communicate is directly related to your ability to earn an above average income. That is an example of being able to, on your feet, be able to speak clearly, concisely, directly, which people really appreciate, and it will make a huge difference in your business. Chris, I got a great little comment here. Thank you, Kathy. She texted me out of Arizona, and she said, one of the best ways to respond in texting is with a text video. And I have to say that's absolutely true, Karen Ricci out of Colorado. I love that. Grab your phone. Do a quick reply by video. Do it from wherever you are. You're walking down the street. You're in a house. Do the reply, hit send, and it's so engaging. Love that idea. Thank you, Kathy. We always appreciate your insight. Hey, Chris, I just got a question here from Jill from Austin, Texas. What a great town that is. House sales have slowed in my market. On average, it can take up to 3 to 4 months to sell a listing. I'm finding it very uncomfortable to stay in touch with my sellers when no one has come to look at their house. Oh boy, that is so true. I have been avoiding calling some of my sellers. I just don't know what to say. Can you give me kind of a process around this? And that is Jill from Austin. Thank you, Jill.
So I want to give somebody I haven't talked to in 20 years credit, a guy by the name of Jason Sims. Big sales guy out of London, Ontario. Really, when he was, I don't know where Jason is in his business these days, but when he was at the top of his game, he was a force to be reckoned with, a true Tasmanian devil, little tornado. Okay. Anyways, one of the things I loved about this guy, and he had tons of inventory. Didn't matter what the market was doing. If somebody wasn't coming to look at your house, he was calling you and he was talking to you, because what was he using this as? He was using this as an opportunity to get your price down to a more, to get the more people interested. So every week when nobody came to look at the house, he picked up the phone and I watched him. He was a true sales guy, real master at this. So what I want to say and it was Jill from Austin. Is that who you said it was? Jill from Austin?
That is correct. Jill from Austin. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jill, I need you to pick up the phone. Even if nobody's coming to look at the house, this in itself is a reason to have a conversation. What I need you to do is make those difficult calls. Hey, it's Chris from ABC, or Chris, your realtor. How you guys doing? My weekly call. I wanted to bring to your attention, obviously we haven't had anybody come to look at the house, but before we talk about that, what I'd like to do is run through some of the strategies we've deployed digitally this week. I'd like to give you an idea how many views we've had on our website, how many people clicked on it, how many views. And the interesting part of all of this, and I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version because you'll fill in some of it in conversation, Jill. But what I would say to them is if we've got people clicking on it, and we haven't got people coming to see it, that tells me we have another issue we need to discuss, and where are we at with our pricing in relationship to other stuff in the market. So Jill, one of the real important points that you need to be aware of when you list property in a market that's either flattening out or starting to decline as inventory levels rise, the motivation on why somebody is selling. So let's remind them, Jill, that they said to you, and you want to bring to their attention, I know the reason you put your home on the market was because you wanted to get closer with the grandkids and sell your place in Austin and get where they are. So I want to talk to you about making that happen. Obviously, you can see there's been a change in our market. And in the process, we're going to need to make some adjustments to make sure your home is positioned correctly. The word is position, not price. Positioned correctly to get the attention that you're looking for so we can get the results you want. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we get together for a coffee this week? I'd like to explore some other strategies, talk to you about market conditions so that we can get you closer to those grandkids. Do you understand what I just did there? All right, good. Price reduction, Jill. Price reduction, price reduction. And if it ain't selling, it's the price. That's all it is.
Sage advice. Chris, Abby says, I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to be a pest. Can you have too much contact with a client? This is good coming off the last question. Emails, text, market reports, newsletters, phone calls. When is too much too much?
I don't think there's ever too much when it comes to making a decision this size. Let's pretend just for a second, Abby, you were having open heart surgery. Would you like to hear from your cardiologist a lot? Or would you like to hear from them just, pre-op? I'd love to talk to the cardiologist a lot, given the fact that I'm kind of nervous. So I don't think you can do too much. But I will say this, Chris, you can leave too many voicemails in somebody's mailbox and it end up being stalkerish. So do I think it's okay to text and email and leave a voicemail? If you leave a voicemail, Abby, and they didn't answer you, and you want to keep trying to get in touch with them, once you've left one voicemail, don't leave any more. Just dial the number. When it goes to voicemail, just hang up. So at a certain point, they're going to look at, oh my God, my realtor's tried to call me 9 times. Obviously, they want to talk to me. Now, that didn't mean I left 9 voice messages, just one voice message and then keep reaching out. So just giving you some basic protocols.
Okay, Laura, you win the prize of being our last question of the day today because I can't take any more. But Laura, Chris says, should I put my clients in my business or personal Facebook? That's Laura.
I would do business, Laura. And I will tell you that I wish I had worked more diligently initially on my business than my personal. So personal, I would stay for your close friends. Business, I would do everything else. Plus, Laura, one of the things about business in Facebook is, of course, you can monetize it and you can track it and you can do advertise. There's a lot more stuff available on the business side for you. So I would say business, and I would try to develop out the business page as much as you possibly can because it has more attributes that are available to you as a professional. Chris, I know you're going to move into the last piece here, and there's something I wanted to say to everybody. We are a boutique coaching company, and we literally have great coaches. We have a history of returning substantial results. I'm going to do something I've not done before. If you all got a pen, I'm going to give you my cell phone number. And I want you to call me if you're serious about turning your business into 6, or even in some cases, depending on how hard you want to work, a 7-figure income. Keep in mind, we have a history of being able to do this, and I'd like to have a personal conversation with you. So here's my personal cell phone number. And I'm not asking you to sign up for coaching, and I'm not going to arm wrestle with you to do it, but you should have questions and you should be calling me. So my cell phone number is 705-791-1641. That's my personal cell phone number. If you want to make 6, 7, 8, 900,000 and you're making 80,000 right now, $90,000, you want to know how to do this, pick up the phone and call me. I'll give you the skinny on it. I'll be totally transparent, tell you everything you need to know, and I'll tell you what's going to happen and what the investment looks like and what's expected. From that, you can go away. And you know me, guys. Most of you I've taught or trained you at some point. So you got my number now, and if you don't call me, that's on you. Then that's on you. So,
Chris, that's an awesome offer, and you have changed and shaped so many lives in this industry. That is fantastic. So thank you for that. Folks, don't miss next week. We've got Laura Levy for the entire hour, an amazing expert in the business, great techniques on working with buyers, with the changes coming up, community advocate, just a great individual. If we did not get to your question today, my apologies. Remember, just send an email to askchris@leadersedgetraining.com. We'll get back to you. Of course, this recording is available for you all week long. Do not miss that opportunity. And otherwise, it's a wrap for today's session. Chris, as usual, thank you for sharing your expertise, your insight, and now your personal phone number, which I sent out to everybody as well. So they've got that access on the recording as well. Listen, if you want to be the best version of yourself, Chris mentioned it. We've got the history of helping people achieve that unbelievable success. Check in with Melanie or, of course, Chris personally to get that information. Until next week, until we see Laura, please stay focused, stay committed, and stay optimistic to ensure that your best years are your next years. In the meantime, we are thrilled to have you part of our community. Chris, have a great week. We'll see you next week.